Okay, brief recap then. So far, you've had some major revelations, a little bit of racial tension, and a bit of a journey. So you've last session you've got proof that the old gods are real. You and also the two sort of arcane casters of the party, or you thought it was one arcane caster of the party, started on their journey through the test of high sorcery, and that's where we find you finishing a long rest at the Barb. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push it forwards to the start of the next morning, just for a bit of flavour. Whoever was last watch, you fall asleep. By the time you wake up, fortunately you do wake up before the rest of your party, to find that Ravina, the mage that took Nordan through his paces, and Leggit came along. She's disappeared. All of the magic in the Barb is gone. It's now a crumbled ruin. There's no doors. It's just totally crumbled. But you hear a babbling brook in the distance. You know there's fresh water there, and it's calm and peaceful. So you all wake up, rested, ready for the journey on to Vogler. So your current mission is to get to Vogler for Ispin Greenshield's funeral. The funeral is to take place 2 nights from now. So you've worked it out that it should take you the best part of just under 2 days to get there. You should get there perhaps midday on the second day to attend the funeral. Do we have any logistical business before we venture out? Anyone?
Are we getting breakfast? Or are they throwing that in?
There's a fresh water nearby, but you're going to have to fend for yourselves.
Oh, nudges. I'll have a drink of water and freshen up, and then get ready to go.
I'm just checking. I've actually
probably take a dump behind a tree, downwind. No one ever does that. Have you noticed? You know, I remember playing the campaign for years, and one of my mates said, "You know what? I'm going to take a shit." It's been years.
I've got the Wanderer feature of Sam, so I can provide. I can get small game berries and stuff for up to 5 people if necessary, if it's available around us. So
I was just checking I had rations, to be honest.
So Gal can keep you fed. Hopefully.
I normally start a campaign really, really well and make sure I've got that stuff, and then I get halfway through and I'm like,
what you really need?
I think I ran out of food. Like,
there's a druid spell called Goodberry, which is just amazing.
Yeah,
it creates berries that act as a full meal and heal 1 hit point, and they can just cast it and make them, then make some more if necessary. It's amazing.
But you're all catered for. You should be good to go. You've got some rations, I believe. There are things around for Kelevendros to forage if necessary. So what's the plan then? Are you going to hoof it straight there? There's roads, there's wilderness, the combination of the two. Are you
had we just decided on one or the other based on how, whether or not the rough path will slow us down or speed us up? I think, had we made that decision, or had we not yet?
I think we only did it.
I can remember discussing it.
I think that was to the bar,
yeah,
because that was a timeline that we had to meet. I don't think we discussed what would be the quicker way from here onwards.
Well,
let's give you the map that we've been using so far then. So Scalebane Keep, where we started our adventure together on Kryn. You travelled across land to the Barb.
Mm-hmm.
This is Vogler here. So each hex is about 6 miles. So, I mean, a steady pace. You'd get 4 hexes, 24 miles. Yeah, 24 miles, reasonably easy. So that puts you end of day 1 here. There is a road leading along this path that you'd be aware of that.
When's Ispin's funeral, Dave?
It's
At
How long
Vogler.
away?
2 days from now at the evening.
Days.
Yeah, so if
Alright,
you
so
if
we
you get a
can't-
march on, get to here, and then similar, you'd be in Vogler sort of before dusk.
Can't dawdle then. Can't.
Not
Okay.
overly, no. So there are roads would be the fastest way to get there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pacing it out.
It's, do we reckon it? So if we run into any more of those weird dragon things, do you think we'll be all right to just sort of kill them?
Well, the mercenary company was travelling along the road, weren't they, as well? So you'd like to think it might be reasonably clear.
Right, you've talked me into it. It sounds a lot nicer than rummaging through bushes. Right,
Plus, let's get.
We can call them.
Sorry.
We can call them draconians now, can't we?
Draconians, yeah.
Draconians, you can.
Yeah.
Yes, you
Well,
had
let's go
official
back,
confirmation
Game
from
of
a
Thrones.
god that they're called Draconians, so safe to do so. So off you go on
Yeah,
your travels. What I'm going to get you to do then, I'll only have 2 rolls. So the 2 drages will have Tom first. Can you just roll a d20 for me, please, too?
Certainly can. Oh.
Okay, so let's have a group perception check from everyone then.
I won't.
Sorry, lads.
Oh, I whiffed that.
Perception.
So
Not
did I.
very wise, though.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Charismatic. but
Oh,
not
check
wise.
me out.
Boom.
Nice.
Okay, so that takes the average up a little bit, doesn't it?
Why can't I ever roll that for initiative?
Okay, so sort of midday on your first day, you spot coming the other direction, and they do come on you quite suddenly. Let's say that you're in a don't mark too soon, and you're in sort of a valley, and as you round the bend, that's it. They're in front of you, but they do appear to be just commoners, humans. And as they round the corner, there's sort of a look of surprise that they're not armed, they're not armored. They've got perhaps a cart or something of some description that's mostly goods to sell. And there's a sort of a standoff moment where there's a look of surprise, and then they take you all in, realise that wait a minute, no, I don't think these guys are going to attack us. And they look as if to nod in appreciation. And then as you get a little bit closer, they sort of look Arthas over up and down. And it's almost as sort of, these are peasants. It's a snooty look up and down. It's, there's no, not to Solamnia. Look over at Kelevendros, just spot your elvish feature. Oh, no, and then Leggit, it's like Kender, no, and then the red robes of a wizard, they're like, oh no, and they just shuffle past. No verbal, no eye contact. Things that you've been used to,
Yeah,
all of your life, but they're not making any indication that they want to communicate whatsoever. Are you going to let them go by? Would you wish to?
Hail and well met, friends.
There you go.
Yep. Morning, and that's it. Head down. The sort of the let's say there's 3 men and a woman. They'll sort of stand around the woman as if trying to guard her, and then just
Yeah. Okay. I think we know why we're not wanted, guys.
Country folk are so chatty.
Yeah. Dead friendly people, aren't they? The bumpkins around here.
Cal would let them pass.
I think you try and steal something from one of them.
I was just about to say, you're not about to steal, are you?
Well, he's a Kender. They sort of can't help it.
Am I allowed to, Sam?
I don't think we have a procedure for
My
this.
character
Like,
would strongly disapprove, but I'd be on the front. I wouldn't notice.
Was it Strahd we were playing when I told you off? Was it this?
Yeah. Please
It was
don't.
Strahd, wasn't it?
Yeah, from Strahd, yeah.
Yeah, we had
These-
similar incidences.
these two
No,
missed
don't
it.
steal from Strahd. Don't steal from Strahd. Don't steal from Strahd. No, don't steal from Strahd. Oh,
Mate.
No,
rogues have got a rogue. They've got to do what they're going to do, man. You know.
I can't remember what it was.
he's gonna
Exactly.
know. He'll fuck us up.
It was
was
the
like
last session,
particularly-
Sam, and you came out with the legendary. Please don't.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of the scenario. It was, I think, because we've just gone into a town that like they're a bit 50-50 on us, and Andy was going to rob something. I was just like, oh, please don't.
No. What happened is that I've got some cursed gold, or at least I thought it was. Then I've tried to run it off onto an old lady in this village. Then gone back, and Dave says, "No, you're still cursed." And I'm like, "Oh fuck! I've just given away all my gold to this old lady." And I was like, "Right, okay, I'm going to go back and I'm going to smother the old lady with a pillow." At which point Sam goes, "Please don't." And he goes, "I thought about it," and I was like, "No, I'm going to do it."
Bitch got it coming.
That was funny. So what is Leggit doing?
He's going to kind of clumsily start bumping into him as he goes past him and goes, "Oh, excuse, so sorry, sir. I am clumsy." And then just obviously quick pat down as he passes.
Okay, sleight of hand.
I think the wee chaps. I'll be back very soon.
Okay, it's time to play the mark game then. So Tom, you've just texted me you're having choke.
Yep. I feel like I could say like choke the chinchilla or something like that.
I'm going to go hang or a variation on the word hang.
Sam's having hang. That leaves Mr. Johnson.
Most always he gone. Oh fuck. Haggle.
Haggle.
Waggle.
Waggle.
Yeah.
That's a solid choice. That is.
Mm.
He does put out some obscure verbs.
Yeah, that's why I can't. I'm trying to think outside the box a little bit, because when I started, it was like, I'm going to run, I'm going to skip. It's just like I don't think he uses those words.
Right, let me have. So your sleight of hand was 14. Have you bought?
Yeah.
You've bought another set of dice, haven't you?
What?
No, well, just one set.
That looks well flashy. That does.
Do they make
How-
sound effects like your other ones?
Yeah, it just goes. It just operates.
How do you change your dice on D&D Beyond? Because I've got a few free sets, but I can't work out. I've got sanguine ones. When they roll, it makes like a blood squelch sound that really isn't appropriate for Dragonlance
Are you doing it on? Is it an app or on the computer?
on the computer.
If you go to tools and no, wait a minute. It is collections.
It's in collections.
Collections of my dice.
And my dice.
Ah, yeah, of course.
Passive perception. Okay. Fortunately, Farmer Jeff's passive perception is less than your sleight of hand, so you manage to lift. So let's have a look. Okay,
Did it work?
it did.
Wait.
Let's see if I can Google an interesting list of things. I think there's one in Player's Handbook. I complete this.
Make it better than World of Warcraft. Pickpocket is the most pointless ability.
Oh, I've had some good things occasionally.
Have you?
Yeah.
That's just when you need that extra 3 copper.
Yeah. Let's have a look. Trinket generator. Let's have a look at it. See if this is any good.
Racket fungus.
So D&D 5e trinket generate. Oh no, only like 10 things. Okay, roll percentage dice then, Mr. Johnson. If you would.
Oh, what? Sorry.
The percentage dice. If you go onto the dice and then it's the 2d10 next to each other, it does percentage.
Okay.
Some of these are quite obscure, but we'll stick with it for now. 68.
68.
Okay, so in this fella's pocket, you acquire a cube.
Yo.
It's an inch cube, each side painted a different colour.
Can you say that again? You cut out a bit, mate.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's a cube, each side painted a different colour. Seems to be some kind of gambling cube.
Kenders have been made up with that.
Yeah, I've got Rocco's cube from a Phantom Menace in my head, but with different colours on each side.
Well, I'm tempted to say it's got 2 colours on it, blue and red. I was actually going to say that. So we'll change it to that then, shall we? But it's made of. You figure as far as you're aware, it's made of bone. It's not necessarily worth anything, but we'll say he's got 2 copper
Kenders
pieces
look
on him as well.
Look, that's what they do.
She ain't even bothered.
Hey, you never know if you find a gambling man, you could use your dice for something.
I'd work out a way to cheat.
Well, not only that, if you do take Arcane Trickster and your mage hand is invisible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did Kelevendros want to do something as well?
Yeah, so if once they've gone past, so we'll let them go past them safely so they're not threatened, he'd turn and shout, just be careful on the road. We've encountered threats. So
Okay.
watch your back. Just give them a warning that the roads aren't perhaps as safe as...
Okay. Yeah. That's, yeah. In response to that, you're just out of you're just within earshot. You sort of hear the likes of you on the road, I'm not surprised type thing. It's not very pleasant at all. And here you are, you're just trying to be decent. As we've established, you shrug these things off. That's his choice. Whatever you want to do, pal. So you continue on for the rest of the day, which leads us to another D20 roll. Drage the Elder, if you would roll D20 for us.
Oh, fuck a duck. I tell you what, I am so much better at rolling dice in real life, aren't I, Tom?
Yeah, I'm the same, mate. Oh, I've lost Andy.
Back.
I'm the same. I roll better with real dice. But then the problem is the people I play in other campaigns with think I'm cheating because I roll really well. So I've had to set up a second camera. I hold my phone over the dice tray so they can see what I'm rolling.
How convenient.
When me and Tom last played Kill Team,
mate,
remembering I have Dire Avengers, so if I get a crit and a hit, I can turn that hit into a crit. Nearly every time I was shooting, I was getting at least 1 crit. So I was just wiping his units off the map because I was just rolling 6s left, right, and centre.
But that's not a new thing. When we used to play the Lord of the Rings game as kids, you used to have Riders of Rohan that used to do double hits on the charge if you rolled 6s, and you'd roll about 6 out of 8 6s. They're like, you've murdered my Urukai. Great, thanks, mate.
Yeah. My proudest moment was killing that tabletop was killing a Terminator Marine with a Gretchen who had a bow. I needed to roll a 6 to hit, then I needed to roll another 6 to do damage, then he had to roll 2+ to save. He died. I was trying to work out how a Gretchen with an arrow could actually kill the Terminator Marine. He's just like, I can't think of any feasible scenario.
You've got to go eye hole, haven't you?
Yeah.
Straight through the visor.
I was thinking more, it got stuck in one of the servos and made him just fall over and couldn't get up like some sort of Ed 209 type affair.
So later on in the afternoon, you come across it's a similar arrangement, but going in the same direction as you. You're actually a little bit faster than them. It's an old boy and his young daughter on another cart. They sort of see you coming from some distance behind. And clock you. It's not night time yet, but your knowledge of the area means that you're not near anywhere. You're going to be camping rough. This old boy, he's sort of late 40s, which during this period in Korean, he's doing well to get to late 40s. With this young girl with him, she's perhaps 10 or 11. And they stop on the side of the road to let you catch up. And as you catch up, he'll sort of doff his cap to you and he'll say, evening to you, gentlemen.
Evening.
And then he just sort of waits to see, that's it, basically. He's got nothing else for you unless you want to interact with them in any way.
I'll just tell him to do the same thing Tom did last time. Just be careful with, keep your wits about you, sort of thing.
I'd like to know where he's stopping the night.
So we could sneak up and murder them all in their sleep.
I'm not that way inclined.
I mean,
would it make sense for us to stay together? I can't remember what I went with. Oh, neutral good, yeah. So I'd be inclined to invite them to stay with us if they're staying out in the wild for their own protection.
That's a good point, actually. If it's because isn't it almost camp time anyway?
Yeah, you're not far off. He will say that's mighty decent of you. But where are you headed?
We're headed to Vogler.
Vogler, sorry.
Yeah, us too. We've got supplies. We've got some mead for the Kingfisher Festival. My name's Roland. This is my daughter, Anne. Forgive me for asking, but a knight, a Kender, half elf, and a wizard.
Yeah,
sounds like the start of a joke, doesn't it?
It does.
We are companions of circumstance rather than anything else. We have an old friend that connected us all together over the years, who, because I am elf as well, full-blood elf, who unfortunately, as you humans do, has reached his end, and we are attending his funeral, and we've grouped up together for one last march to see our friend off.
Indeed.
Plus safety in numbers.
So at this, he'll sort of say, "Oh, right. May I ask your friend's name?"
It's been
Greenshield.
Greenshield. It was his last name I wasn't sure about. I saw the name.
As soon as you mention Ispin's name, his face completely changes, and it sort of lights up. Oh, Ispin. So, wait a minute. So you'll be Arthas.
We must introduce ourselves.
Yes. You
Hang
know
on.
us.
Let me think of it up on the cuff, boys. We've got Leggit doesn't hang around. Kel. Oh shit. Kel the clever, and Arthas the annoyance, and of course Nordan the
knob.
Yeah. I'm gonna write a list. I'm gonna write a list. I'm just gonna be firing random ones off.
So as you sort of banter in between you, Roland will say, "Yeah, that's pretty much what it's been said. He was a grand chap. Yeah, we're going to attend his funeral ourselves. Please, yeah. We'll we'll travel with you if that's all right." And you see Anne sort of she's just that awkward age. She sort of stood behind a dad, and she'll say, are you an elf?" She'll sort of say, looking towards both. Well, to Nordan, she'll probably spot the meme.
I am. I'm not just any old elf, though. And he'll start to use prestidigitation, make some sparks appear, little puffs of smoke.
So she
Like,
starts.
All genuine, entertaining for kids sort of stuff. Nothing sinister about it.
She starts clapping, and Roland sort of like nodding along. He's quite happy with it. And then he says, "Well, what do you suggest, gentlemen? I mean, there's still a bit of light left. Do you want to keep going for a bit? I mean, we can have a little bit of the mead on the way down if you wish."
I thought we met them coming the other way.
No, they're coming the same time. You were going to overtake them. You were a little bit faster than them.
Right, in the seas. Yeah. We'll move on. My vote would be carry on for a bit. When we get tired, stop then.
Yeah.
What me and Anne normally do, we've got bed rolls, and we normally just sleep under the cart and let the elements do what they do. But we'll carry on for a bit. So you're trundling along the road. It's quite convivial between you all. And she moves from Nordan, and she's sort of as Leggit's hanging around, you can see she's only about the same size as Leggit. She sort of sidles over to him and says, "Hello, Mr. Kender. Where's your top knot?"
What does he say to this? I can't remember if Leggit
Do you
knows
know what a top knot is?
Yes.
Oh, you do. So
I think I do because I'm aware of other Kenders. So
yeah, of course. So you know what it was.
So I say, my child, it's a style choice, shall we say?
I thought Kenders believed it was unlucky to not have a top knot, although I must admit, it does rather suit you to not have one. You could almost pass as a child elf.
Well, thank you very much. Yes, unfortunately, I don't have much dealings with my kin. Never found a top knot appealing.
As she's sort of chatting along with you, with the sort of bumps in the road, it's a very uneven road. She does a couple of times just sort of veer over towards you, but you very much get the sense that she's trying to lift something from your pocket.
At this, I'll kind of grab a hand, and then I'll take the dice and the 2 copper coins, and I'll place it in her hands, close it, and I say, "My child, you need not steal. You need only ask." And I'll give it to her.
Oh,
little does she know it's ill-gotten gain.
She says that
loot to a child.
She sort of shrugs and says, "I don't need the dice. Give you that back," and then sort of scuttles away with the two copper piece. And you can hear her saying, "Dad, look what I took off the Kender," and he's mortified. You did what? And he sort of turns around, says, "Give that back," and he sort of sees the look on Leggit's face. What's Leggit going to do?
He'll turn to the farmer and say, "It was a gift. You can keep it."
I mean, he's not happy with his daughter at all. Stealing, he's not happy about that at all. But I mean, it's all good fun between the six of you now. But it gets to the point where traveling is going to get a little bit difficult. It's a little bit darker.
Right.
So
Shall we take watches in pairs, do you think? Do you think that would make more sense or not?
Well, I only need to meditate for a short period, don't I?
I've got some sort of elvish trickery going on.
yeah, you've got your 4-hour deal. I mean, you still to benefit from a long rest, it still needs to be. But you
Yeah.
actually only need 4 hours sleep.
For guard duty, is it? If say the first 4 hours were covered, I could meditate and then guard the rest of the time. I got the dark vision and stuff.
Okay, well, I'll stay. I haven't got dark vision though, so I'll stay up with somebody who can see until you've had your 4 hours.
Yeah, so perhaps then it'd be Cal's got dark vision.
Brilliant. Yeah, that makes sense as well because we're warrior types. Yes.
Do the warrior thing.
Yes.
But I do think when what was the little girl's name again? Sorry, Dave. Anne. When Anne turned around and said that Leggit could pass as a like a child elf, Cal would have dropped back to Nordan, kind of elbowed him in the rib, because is Leggit really your son? Is that why he's a more powerful wizard than you?
Nordan initially wouldn't respond, but as a gap started to form, he'd probably just put his finger out and just zap the back of his head with a little spark. like he's not noted it at all, and then
And then behind his back, he just gives him the middle finger. But the little girl can't see, because obviously that would be rude. But
Yeah.
That's a shame. She'd love it. Okay, so with the night covered, I'm going to say the night passes without any problem. You wake up the next morning. Roland and Anne have provisions for themselves. It is tough
Yeah,
times. They haven't got much to share. But if
we'll use our own. If they've got less than us, I'll give a little bit to them. If that's the case, if it's all about the same, then happy days.
Sure. So you and obviously Roland will say the same. It's it's pedal to the metal time to get to Vogler before night time. Which is what you do. So from the map, then you camp just over this between these hexes here. The rest of the journey along the road is relatively uneventful. You might meet another couple of people going in, and he's gone again, going in the opposite direction. They're other than Roland and Anne that you've met so far, everyone is unpleasant, is the best way to think of it. But you managed to get to Vogler in good time. It's perhaps 3 in the afternoon by the time you get closer to familiar ground. The tracks become more uneven. You've still got a dense forest either side of you, and you know that Vogler is up ahead. So Vogler itself, the fishing village of Vogler clings to a spit of land reaching into the Vingard River. Wooded cliffs overlook the community, and the only path from the north descends past an ivy-coloured remnants of a crumbling stone keep. The village's modest wooden buildings cluster around a quaint central circle and along the riverbank. Jutting into the river, out of place and seemingly out of time, stands an incomplete stone bridge of incredible artisanship. The structure clearly dates to before the Cataclysm, eclipsing its modern piers in size and sturdiness. The bridge crosses less than half the river's width before giving way to a series of ropes and tethered rafts serving as ferries. On the river itself, dozens of small boats drift along the slow, murky waters as the fishermen of Vogler ply their trade. So I'm going to give you a map of Vogler. That's the a blurb in the book. What I want to do, let's make this visible to you. I'm going to give you an overview of Vogler, and I'll go over a few of those features again. So there's Vogler.
It's just having a load.
Yeah, it might take a second. Let me know when you've got an image.
I've got an image.
I haven't yet. Nearly though. Saying it's now I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, are you good, Andy?
Still waiting.
Vogler, in it.
Righto. It's with map tools. It's a lot to do with the image quality, and I've put other images on this page. So now that I've enabled the page for you, it's kind of loading the whole thing, but I'll make the others visible to you as we go. Are we there, Andy?
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll center you in again. So you're approaching from here. As the track and this sort of wooden, this mud track starts to get wider and more well trod, you go through a valley. So either side of this track, it's raised. To this side, to the north side, there's woods. This is where an old stone keep is located.
Is it better than mine?
It is. It's fully formed. But it's very old. There's vines crawling up it. It is on the crumbly side, but someone's attempted to maintain it, and it hasn't took hits as bad as Scalebane Keep. And of note, rather bizarrely, there's a catapult on top, which strikes you as a little bit incredulous as you walk towards this.
Yeah, what could they possibly be shooting at?
Strange contraption. As you approach, here is the gates to the village itself. They're 15 feet tall. It's a wooden archway, and on the outside, it's carved with 2 leaping fish in the frame. The doors, they're stout wooden doors. They're open. And next to the doors, there's dirt and dust. These doors haven't been closed for a long, long time. As you start to approach, you get a decent overview of the whole village. So I'm going to give you a few key points. This is a very grand manor house here. This would be the sort of central circle. There's sort of a ramshackle. It looks like a mansion, but it's not well-to-do. It's quite functional. This you would identify as you're walking through the town as the Brass Crab. If you sort of see, that's where you have diggings laid out. It
actually looks like a crab,
which is exactly what it is. So this is the bridge. This is pre-Cataclysm architecture. It's
full dune.
It was. It looks like it was the construction was abandoned pre-Cataclysm, possibly due to the Cataclysm.
Never finished it.
Yeah. But it's the workmanship on it. I mean, none of you have dwarves. It's a shame Brungrick's not here, Sam. But the quality of the craftsmanship, you can't imagine how this would be constructed this day and age. It's just beyond you. So there's a few there's sort of a market here, wharves. The main feature of Vogler is fishing. It's all about the fishing trade. There is sort of a little bit of a seasidey air to it, especially as you get closer to the wharves. It doesn't smell dirty. It doesn't smell, and everything is clean and fresh. The gates itself, all over the gates, as you walk through these 2 fish that are colliding together, you do sort of see what you think of as religious symbols. You can't quite place them, but underneath them, there's little bits of paper, and there's hundreds of them, almost as if these are offerings, sort of tokens for the fishermen of Vogler.
Well, can I have a religion check, Dave? See if I know
Yeah,
anything
of course
about
you can, mate. Yeah.
Right. What I shall do is I'll say a little prayer to the God I now know definitely exists to give myself a D4. And I say, Paladin, grant me your vision of something of that ilk. Where's me bloody religion gone? Here it is. And plus. So that's 17.
17
Well,
is still a good
then,
roll.
So, if I find out which one it is. Yeah, so you would recognize it as symbols of Habakkuk, who's also known as the Fisher King. He's one of the gods
Pantheon,
opposed
isn't
to Takesis. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, through Paladin, being as you've cast guidance on yourself, you've used this ability.
Yeah.
What does it look like when you cast guidance? By the way, is it something subtle or is it?
It's. I would say it's more of a. Hang on, let's just see what its components are, just to see. Spells. It's touch and it's. Where do you get? Verbal somatic.
Yeah.
So it'd be as far as I'm concerned, there it would just be like the standard sort of praying gesture, just with a grant me your wisdom type thing. And then when I get the I'm going to turn to Tom and go, oh my god, I felt that. I actually felt that. Whoa, because I've never done it before.
Yeah, Cal just kind of a bit more, kind of a little bit, kind of.
I'll just grab, I'll just
Curious.
look at the holy symbol again with a little bit of wonder in my face.
Sure. Okay. So not anyone around you though wouldn't necessarily have noticed anything untowards. I'm thinking villagers watching you. You're not making a spectacle of this or anything.
No.
Okay. So yeah, while we're on the subject of villagers, as you're walking through the town, you can see that there's a lot of hustle and bustle. There's villagers everywhere, and they all appear to be trying to maintain the village as best as possible. And this is a really, really smart village. The streets are clean. There's no rubbish. There's no moss on the sides of the buildings. Everything looks clean. All of the sort of hedgerows are trimmed and nicely kept. And the villagers, as you walk past, to a man and woman, all of them say, "Evening to you, fellas." And it's the strangest sensation that the four of you have ever experienced. To be,
Have we never been here before?
you've never been
Sorry.
here before. No,
Yeah,
Ispin has
fair
explained
enough.
it to you as being,
Yeah.
the greatest place in Kryn. He's told you what it's like, but you're experiencing it firsthand now. There's no looks of derision. There's no sort of people looking down the nose. There's nothing of any description. There's one fella, he walks past and he goes up to Leggit and he goes, "Oh, your top knot's not here. I can't rob it. Never mind. Welcome anyway." Slaps you on the back. Doesn't care. As he walks away, he's not patting himself down. He's just whatever. So you make your way close to the village centre, and you can see now that they're starting to put garlands up. There's sort of brightly coloured awnings stretching around. You would know that this is all part of the Kingfisher Festival. So it's Ispin's funeral tonight. Tomorrow is the Kingfisher Festival. The Kingfisher Festival goes back to the origins of Vogler. Ispin would have told you all this. On Kingfisher's Eve, which it is tomorrow, there was a battle in Vogler between the Knights of Solamnia and invading Istarian forces. So Istar being the seat of the king priest power. This is going back hundreds and hundreds of years now. And to commemorate that, there is a reenactment, which, if you remember, the two mercenary lads that you bumped into said that it's, they were taking part, and it's all good fun and type thing.
Did we win, Dave? Did we win?
The Knights of Solamnia won.
Yeah.
The knight in charge was the knight Vogler, which is he founded the village after the victory. But the fight itself took part in High Hill, which is a mile to the north. Would
I be familiar with? Sorry, Dave. Would I be familiar with all this sort of, with the story and stuff?
You would have a history check just to see how familiar you would be.
Let's have a look. History. 13.
Yeah, you'd have heard it. You'd have heard it as part of your knight teachings, as it were, and also Isbin would have told you a fair amount about it. He was very proud of this village. He wasn't from here originally, but he settled here, and he says, I've always settled here for a reason. It's because it is the greatest place, and he told you the history. So yeah, it's all ringing true. As you're walking through the town, all of these villagers, and they're all dressed sort of peasants, clean. Peasants, but peasants nonetheless. In front of you, walking in front of you, is a good sort of 30 feet away. You see two other female figures stepping out of one building and walking in front of you. One's a dwarf. No beard. I don't have beards on my dwarven women. Well, not all of my dwarven women, but you'd peg her as quite an attractive woman with brown hair, sort of greying at the edges. But still looks spry, and she's sort of got this swagger about her that that she can handle herself. And next to her is another woman, a knight of Solamnia. This lady is also, she's human of advanced age. You'd possibly put her late 50s or so. And as they're walking together, you see that the dwarf woman look your way, look back, and then she double takes you, and she grabs hold of this other woman, and they stop and turn towards you, and the dwarf woman will say, "Well, by Riox's rusty ring piece, would you look at these four?" And the other woman.
I'm trying really hard, Dave, not to piss myself laughing at that.
Okay.
I'm trying to maintain dignity, but I'm struggling at this point.
This other woman, complete deadpan. Deadpan. She's not reacted to the dwarf. She's turned to you, and as she looks you over, just total deadpan. And you see the smile break out. And the smile spreads across her face, and it touches her eyes, and her eyes light up, and she'll say, "Kelevendros, Nordan, Leggit, and Squire Scalebane.
Yay!
I am Becklin. This is Cudgel.
It's wonderful to meet you.
It's
a
pleasure to meet you."
Do we remember it's been talking about these people? Are they familiar to us from the stories?
Yeah, these were his two adventuring companions. Becklin of Viharin, she sent you the letter. And Cudgeon, Ironshield, I think it's Cudgeon Ironshield. So I wanted you to invent some lore for me, actually, at this point, Mark. What's the salute of a Knight of Solamnia?
You know how I see it? You know when the salute from Dune that Duncan uses before he gets killed?
Remind me.
Do you remember? It's sort of sword is sort of oh god, it was sort of low and then sort of or maybe I don't know.
What about the salute from Rimmer? Red Dwarf.
No,
Mate, I will drive to your house and hurt you if you're gonna.
no, he doesn't do that.
It's the sword
Hang
of
on.
the forehead, isn't it, from June?
Yeah.
Let's see. I was wondering if I'm just going to have a quick look. I've got.
Yeah, I
something
found it. I'm sending a GIF now in the chat.
fantastic. I was just going to. It's as though he read my.
If you look in the general chat, I found it.
Right. That was some good going.
Like it, yeah. So that one,
Let's have a look. So where general chat?
general chat.
Yeah.
I even found the Jason Momoa.
I've only ever seen him in Conan, which wasn't very good, and Dune, which was really good.
Mate, you've
So-
seen him in Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah, of course. I forgot he was in Game of Thrones. He
Aquaman?
was. I've never seen Aquaman.
Oh,
Oh, but I did see. I tell a lie 'cause I've seen. What's it called?
Justice League.
Zack Snyder's Justice League.
That was pretty epic.
Yeah. So I have seen him in that, and it was all right. Yeah, but I mean, have you seen Dune? Has everyone seen Dune?
Yep.
I'm really looking forward to the next one. I absolutely loved the first one. Thought it was genius. It managed to make an entertaining film out of the first half of that book, which is where nothing happens, and it's exactly like the book as well. It's like, how did this become really good? I don't know. Because all the good bits are at the end.
So that salute then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Aye.
So she salutes you, and still with this, she's got this beaming smile. In fact, I've got a picture of Becklin. I can give that to you, which hopefully should load up straight away now.
Yes.
Yeah.
It has.
So she'll sort of and
Is
again.
that the one?
Second.
Sorry, yes. Is that the lady that wrote to us?
Yes, this is Becklin of the Harin. She'll sort of say in terms of accent, how I wanted to sort of portray her is she would have a sort of a quite sort of a borderline aristocratic northern accent. So she's very matter of fact, but everything is enunciated correctly, and she's got a slow speech to her. But as she stops and greets you all, it's a full-on greeting for the three of you, but it's a lot more formal for Arthas, with you being a Squire of Solamnia, and this is your superior.
I mean, I'm just looking at her armor. It's a lot nicer than mine.
Yeah, but she's all sort of grabbing Kel's hair and just and Nordan and she's and cudgels all over all of you as the sort of conversation turns to Ispin, and she'll say or Becklin will say it's terrible that we're meeting under these circumstances, but I mean times are what they are. We should have met before. The stories that Ispin has told us about you guys, I've been looking forward to meeting you for so long. Welcome first of all to Vogler.
And sorry, I'm doing this a lot, Dave. Would I have never met this lady before?
No,
even though she's a knight.
No, but you would know that she's been stationed in Vogler for a long time.
Right. So yeah, fair enough. Makes total sense.
So from what Ispin has told you about Becklin and Cudgel, she is a knight. She's a knight of the Rose. A quite high up knight. She gained her titles through family more than anything else. But he's always hinted at the fact that the code, she's all on board with. My honor is my life. Est Solaris off mythos and all that kind of business. But in terms of the measure, she's like, well, that if it makes sense, but if it doesn't make sense, I'm not doing it. So she was kind of shunned a little bit, even though she was quite high up in the knighthood, which is why she was sent as to protect Vogler.
Yeah.
She was
Well,
happy with that,
do I-
and everyone else
has
was
she
happy
meant-
with that.
Sorry, I'm doing it again. Has she sort of? Do I know that she's of that mind? Has she made it clear that
No.
that's the sort of
No,
right?
Ispin's told you.
Oh, so because I'm of the same of exactly of the same opinion of the knighthood. It's all the code and the measures silly.
But she's so she'll sort of progress a little bit further, and she'll say, "So you've arrived just in time. You've arrived in plenty of time for the funeral." And because I've skipped over Roland and they've sort of as you've entered the village, they say, "Oh, we know where we're going now, then, lads. Thanks for letting us go." So they've gone their separate way. And Becklin will say to you, "So you've perhaps got an hour or two to freshen up at the brass crab, and then it's on to Ispin's funeral. Hopefully, we'll have a good turnout for him and a bit of a wake afterwards. But I'll take you to the brass crab then." And she'll say to
Brilliant.
Cudgel, "We'll see you later then, Cudgel." And they sort of embrace briefly. And Cudgel makes away. Cudgel will say to you, "I've my camp of troops are to the north. I'm gonna see to them. I'll be back for the funeral tonight, but I'm trying to make arrangements for this reenactment tomorrow."
We met two of your people on the road, in fact.
Yes, we did.
Interesting. Were they behaving?
So I was looking back through my notes. I wrote the names down and I've lost them. Jaya and Gorgonis.
Ah, you've met Dragonlance and Jayev. Same question. Were they behaving?
Yes, they were in fact very helpful.
Okay, that's good to know. I'm in a wee bit of a rush. Perhaps continue this story later.
Perhaps somewhere quieter too.
Ah, aye. Nice to meet you, gentlemen. I'll see you later on. She flutters off. So Beckley says, "Right, come on, then, chaps. I'll take you to the brass crab. Yolmer there, the proprietor's got room set aside for you. The wake's going to happen at the brass crab anyway, so you can spend some time freshening up there, or have a look around. You'll have a couple of hours." And as she's leading you on, she'll say, "So, how was your journey then? I hope it wasn't too perilous."
Well, it's funny you should say. I've sent a report back to where is it? I've sent the report back to Dave.
Sanchrist.
Yeah, Sanchrist, about something really worrying that we encountered that appeared to be. We were told they were called draconians. Is this something you've ever heard of before? When we did slay them, they'd done for two of my friends, knights who wouldn't be an easy deal. We as a group here, we killed them, but they were turning to stone and melting into acid gases, and it was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Do you know anything?
No, you've stopped her in her tracks at this as you're walking towards. She said, "No, I mean, I got a message to say that you were traveling with," and she's looking around now, traveling with Sir Brian and Sir Justin, but they were going to go on to Calaman. I assumed that they'd just dropped you off.
They're buried in my family plot at Scalebane Keep. They were dead when we arrived. These things were picking at them. They've been avenged and they've had a proper burial, but
We can only assume they died a good death.
They died fighting these things, which were undoubtedly evil. They are no more, unfortunately.
well, I'm sorry to hear of your loss, and she sort of salutes,
Yeah.
may the dead never die
Yeah.
type thing.
Yeah.
And she'll say, so you were attacked by things that turned into stone and puddles of acid. I've never heard of anything.
They looked almost like lizard men. They were scaled. They had wings. Didn't look like they could fly on them, but they had wings, and their faces were like the nearest thing I could describe is a dragon. That's what their faces looked like. They were initially disguised. They were wearing long baggy robes to sort of hide their wings and stuff. So we were quite shocked when we realised what we were up against. That's all we can tell you for now. That's we asked if any other travellers that we met on the road if they'd seen anything, and the answers were no. So with this, was it an isolated thing? We can't say. But it wasn't nice.
It's worth noting that they were intelligent and organised as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
They knew how to fight. They knew how to engage.
This is concerning indeed. So you say you've sent a message back to the.
I've sent a letter back to. I've sent a letter to Gunther Sandquist with a full report.
Can I do an insight check to see if this is the first time she's heard of this?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, I just need to go and peel the Jaboa. I shall be back very soon.
What the fuck?
Peel a Jaboa.
What's a Jaboa?
I don't know. I'll Google
Is
it.
it a type of snake? I don't know if I want to.
Actually, no. Jaboa.
Jerboa. It's a desert rodent.
It's a
Jerboas.
Jerboa. Yeah. Well, there you go. It looks like it's got lizard legs, and it's a little mouse. Massive ears.
Oh, the kangaroo rat.
Yeah, that's a Jaboa. Crikey.
It can run 24 kilometers an hour, which is quite quick for a rodent.
That's quite rapid, actually. When you take that into context.
Peel the Jaboa.
Jesus Christ.
I'm just not thinking outside the box enough, I don't think.
Lars got the closest with Pathfinder, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. It's one day someone will get it. But that's the problem. Oh, mind you, because he's normally pretty quick, he'll sort of say it on his way out. So even if we start celebrating, I don't think he'll notice. I think we'll get away with it. But this is why I reckon the verbs you go to peel. I mean, yes, yeah. I mean, I don't. Well, I said that because there's only so many crazy animals that he can choose.
I think you're right. I think the verb is your safer bet than the creature.
Yeah,
because he's clearly a very knowledgeable person.
He's very clever. He remembers lots and lots of things. He's a pain in the backside, but he's he's awesome. Mark's great.
That's what I mean. He clearly like a Jaboa.
We'll see if he knows what a Jaboa is. I'll ask him.
Do you want me to ask him?
Yeah, go on then.
Mark.
Yo.
What's a Jaboa?
It's a type of mammal. I'll find a picture of one.
Because you said it, and I was like, "What?"
It's a rodent thing. They look like they're really comedy. Actually, they're like tiny kangaroos with big ears.
All right, okay.
Let me see if I can copy the picture of one. Copy image. It's me Discord.
Check you out with your technology. All we need now is to get you a phone, Mark, and then you'll be laughing.
I've got to present it. Yeah, I've put one underneath
Okay.
Jason Momoa. There's a Jaboa beneath Momoa.
Nice. I had caught the relevance of that before you said it. Here we are. Right. So back to the story then. So Becklin sort of, she'll sort of say, "Oh, look, at least you sent a report back to Gunther." She doesn't say Lord Gunther. You notice she just says Gunther, who's Arthas would know is the leader of the Knights of Solamnia.
Well, I'd recognise her that she's quite important by her armour, wouldn't I?
You would, yeah.
Yeah.
She said, "Well, I was initially I was going to send you to the Brass Crab, but I think we should go and talk to Mayor Ravenuth Vogler and tell her about these tidings."
Dave,
And
what
she
was
sort of,
the result of my insight check?
as your, that's where we were, Sam. Sorry, I beg your pardon. So 17. With a 17, you would get the impression that it's not a surprise to her that something has happened. Certainly, the mention of these creatures, this is new to her. She's never heard of these creatures before. But
So I'll just tell you where I'm thinking, because I've just thrown it at you. So Nordan's line of thinking is, we had the two, Tom mentioned them, the two mercs. They were there, they fought them with us. And in theory, they're here before us, so surely she would have heard about this from the mercenary captain. And that's where his line of thinking is. It's not that he's like, "Oh, you're in on it."
Yeah, Jazz, you know what?
It's, well, hang on a minute. Surely these two blokes have come back and gone, "Fucking hell, lad, you won't believe what we've just had a scrap with." Do you know what I mean? It's that sort of. Oh, hang on a minute.
I'm hearing you. So there's she hasn't been told about these. But the fact that there is trouble, the fact that there are attacks, she doesn't seem surprised by at all. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought if I explain where I'm coming from, it might make more sense with the insight check.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, so I'm going to stick with that then.
Okay, that's fine.
So with mention of the mayor, you see a youngish black woman, quite simply dressed. It's well tailored clothes. I mean, pretty much similar to Leggit, really. I mean, you make the best of a situation, so you're sort of well tailored, but it's sort of the best that you can put together. I'll give you a picture of.
Do we know which part of Cringe she'd come from? Be native to? Is that what the Calaman people?
Yeah, Calaman's quite cosmopolitan. There's the sort of mixed races, and as this, and she does look quite young to be a mare.
That's a very big fish.
Yes, and she's dressed quite, like I say, she's dressed simply, but you would spot from her boots and from, I mean, she's actually walking through the town with a fishing rod over her shoulder, and Becklin will gesture her over and inform Raven what you've just told her, introduce you, and say, and she'll sort of say quite subtly, and in a bit of a huddle between, there's 6 of you now, villagers all around, but she's making sure no one else is here, and she's say, so these gentlemen, these are Ispin's companions, and they've told us about these draconian creatures that never seen before, and they'd attacked Knights of Solamnia on the open road, and this was 4 days away from here, back at Scalebane Keep. So that's 4 days away. And we've heard rumours, and she looks back to you guys now to make sure you're listening to this. We've heard rumours of armies gathering in the east. We've heard rumours of strange things happening. Do you know any more information? Is there anything else from the lands? Any other news that you're aware of?
I'm trying to think if I feel do we feel we can trust? In fact, sorry, I'll say it out loud. I says, do you think we can trust the people we're talking to? I'll put it to the group before we go into what else we know. Do you think we can trust them, folks? What shall we do?
I'm gonna
Well-
be honest. I think with my insight check, Jesus Christ, Nordan will be a little bit not withdrawn. Maybe that's the wrong word, but he might not be as forthcoming with information now because he's now a bit. Well, hang on a minute. Do you know what I mean? The alarm should have already been raised, as it were,
Yeah.
and it hasn't.
I mean, we can. Yeah. So I think Cal was like, well, it wouldn't hurt to tell them. I mean, we all came together and we spoke with the rumors we heard during our travels. It wouldn't hurt to pass those along, of course. You know,
No,
the
certainly not.
information. And
Is
he's
it
trying
not
to
I don't
cover
remember
the
sharing.
fact that Nordan. Well, I know Leggit did, and I think Kelevendros at this point would have mentioned it over the campfire. Even if we haven't done it, do you know what I mean? He would have mentioned what he's heard. So
I want to see if we can try and get the I keep forgetting the name, Dave. What's she called? The night woman.
Becklin.
Becklin.
What was that again? Sorry,
Becklin.
Becklin. I want to try and if we can at some point, I want to try and get her on her own where we can just. Because I'm going to instinctively trust her because she's a friend. You know, she's Ispin's friend and she's a knight. So,
Yeah, can I roll an insight check on Arthas to see if Cal sees that in him?
Sure.
Because I think Cal's on the kind of similar lines to Nordan here. Like something's not quite right here. Those two mercenaries were ahead of us. The word should have already spread.
Because Sam's a suspicious bastard.
Well, my character's really cynical.
No, Dave.
Yeah. So are you having this huddle in front of everyone else then?
Well, there's only the mayor and
Yes, but you're having this huddle in front of them.
yes, yeah. I say, I don't want to. I'm not a secretive. Don't
Okay.
want to be.
So we'll introduce Raven then. So this woman, similar to Becklin, this is a woman. She she is an Uth, so she is titled. The mayor title has probably been passed down, which is why she's so young. But as she comes across, she's her accent is quite northern. It's quite commonplace. It's quite down to earth, and she will say, "Now, gentlemen, I understand. We are isolated here, but we are aware of the bigger picture in the wider world, and we do know how things operate. You are safe here to the best of our ability, and anything that we can do to make you safe."
So, if it's just them two and us, I'm going to look at the group. I said, we've got the other thing that we found out. It's going to take some believing. So
then I think if he starts, Cal's going to put his hand on Arthas's shoulder.
Yeah.
And going to try and stop him. And
no, I will be quiet at that. Want to put if I've got yeah.
I mean, we've all travelled from different corners of the world. We've all heard different news. So myself, the rumours of dragons in the east, but most people wrote them off as wyverns and illusions. These kind of rumours are common spread. You've probably heard them yourselves. I'm sure these gentlemen all have heard similar things.
Has anyone heard any news of the elves? It's been a long time since I've seen my people. Thank you.
I've certainly heard.
I'm offering out to the mayor as well, and
the mayor will say, "Well, it's interesting. You should ask." May I ask you? Are you Qualinost or Sylvanesti?
You were Qualinosti, weren't you?
Qualinesti.
You're from Qualinost. We've heard tell that your brother's Sylvanesti. There was a large flotilla of ships sailing from Sylvanesti, travelling west, almost as if they were abandoning your homeland. These are we have heard rumours of these wyverns and these smaller dragonels. Have a nature check. Have a group nature check for wyverns and dragonels.
Excuse me.
Okay, that's really good. It was really good apart from Arthas, but it doesn't matter because you. So you'd have all have heard of wyverns. Wyverns are dragon type creatures. You're all aware that. I mean, thousands of years ago, when Huma Dragonbane drove Takesis and all of the dragons into the abyss, was thousands of years ago. Dragons are literal children's tales, but you're in a fantasy environment. There are such things as wyverns and dragon elves as well, which are basically a smaller versions of dragons, not as intelligent, but you have heard that recently they've been, Raven will tell you that they've heard of these being ridden on by warriors. So sorry, Mark. These smaller dragon elves have been ridden on into battle by this army in the east. They've heard stories coming out of Taman Busuk near way to the east. They've heard stories of the Minotaurs and the Kender home being under attack from these mysterious forces. And now, from what you're telling us, 4 or 5 days away from our home, something seems to be happening. This is concerning indeed. Raven's sort of looking around and she's saying, listen, we need to keep this under wraps for now. We have, I don't think it's going to make a difference just for one night. And also, I'd still like to go ahead with the reenactment tomorrow. And she looks to Becklin. And Becklin sort of nods, sort of in acquiescence. And Raven will say to you that there is another reason that I wanted the reenactment to go ahead this year. The reason that I've asked Cudgel to bring her mercenaries is because I want to train a militia for Vogler. And the best way to train a militia is to give them experience in the field, even if it is a reenactment. This is why I've asked for the Ironclad Regiment to help us out this year. They're going to be the Astarian forces and hopefully give our lads a few pointers. We're just simple fisher folk. And Becklin sort of takes over here, and she'll sort of say, especially to Arthur, she'll say, I mean, I haven't had time to train them. We've got mismatched armor. If there was a force invading Vogler, there's not a great deal that we could do. But we want to be as prepared as possible, but we need to keep this as quiet as we can for now.
We don't want to cause a panic. And I say we don't know how serious it is yet. It might be isolated. It might not. We've not heard any other reports. No one else has seen these things except us and the two chaps that helped us out. So we'll have to keep it. We'll keep it quiet for now, and if you find anything else out, let us know, and we'll do the same.
Okay. Right. So, and Raven says, "Well, gentlemen, I've still got preparations for the festival tomorrow. I'm sure I'll see you at Ispin's Wake later.
Yeah.
Pleasure to meet you." And she goes off. So Becklin will now take you back towards the and put you back on the map. So you've got So you're now. Oh no, not that one. You're now walking towards the Brass Crab, and she. The front door's open. There's people coming and going. It's very much an inn. Not much of a pub. There is a separate ale house further down the road, but this is more for sleeping in and resting. And like for functions. Like an hotel, but for functions as well. And the function room as you walk through is all laid out for Ispin's funeral. And Becklin will introduce you to Yelme. Yelme is a human woman. I like to think of her as a sort of advanced age, quite a portly woman, always messing with a bosom type. just a wicked fat grandma type character, and she, oh, gentlemen, Espin's told me all about you and all that kind of business. And Becklin says, right, gentlemen, I need to make preparations myself. Feel free to have a look around the village. The funeral is going to take place in 2 hours' time, so you've got the run of the building until then. Yelmi will look after you until then, and Yelmi says, "Oh, I've got a meal prepared for you," and all that kind of business. So we'll settle you in. You each have a room where you can store or do whatever you want to do. So you've got 2 hours. Did you want to do anything? Or do you?
So I think Cal would definitely want to get a hold of Arthas, possibly the other two as well, but he specifically wants to speak to Arthas. Whether you two want to join for the conversation, I don't know, but it's following on from Cal stopping him saying what he was going to say.
Well, so do you think do you think that there might be something more to than what they're telling us?
I don't know, but
don't worry if you're not. I'm not certainly not going to just go blabbing without. It's one of them things who's going to believe us anyway?
There's so many people peddling so many false gods. We're already mistrusted in the world. I don't know what the right course of action is.
Paladin told us to spread the word, but I don't know how we could make people believe us.
We need to make a better judgment of the people we tell before we tell them.
Okay, so that's fair enough then. Till we reach a consensus, we shall keep our traps shut on that issue.
Leggit's going to sort of pipe up at this point. And is there anybody else in where we are at the minute?
There's people coming and going.
We'll meet up in one of our rooms, just everyone piling in, just so we get a bit of privacy.
Well, I was going to sort of inquire to anybody that I could if they've seen any mercenaries enter Vogler recently.
So I mean, Yelmi's she's I mean, straight away you peg her as the person the gossip person to go to, possibly in the whole village, and she'll sort of say, well, yeah, we've had the Ironclad Regiment outside of town. Cudgel keeps them all in line, though. They arrived perhaps 2 days ago. Most of them arrived 2 days ago. There were stragglers caught up afterwards. They behave themselves for the most part. They don't enter town. Cudgel, she says that Vogler isn't really the place for mercenaries, and I'm sure they're decent chaps, but she keeps them under a tight leash in the camp.
How far away is the camp?
The camp.
You got sticky fingers again, Andy.
Wasn't even thinking about that stuff.
So, High Hill is a mile north of Vogler. This is where the battle took place. The recreation is going to be. A mile further north than that is the mercenary camp. So 2 miles away from town.
Okay, so 2 hours to sort of get there and back. I'm just thinking, trying to find these mercenaries and find, have a quick recce with them about what they've found, who they've discussed it with, and what their reception's been when they've discussed it, kind of thing, or what they've been told.
Yeah, because that's what set alarm bells off. I think is that they should have been here before us, and
yeah. I'm just thinking if we can track them down, we might get a little bit.
They make it here at all? Do we know?
Oh, that is the question, I suppose.
Yeah,
that's it. That's what I'm trying to find out. If they're going to be anywhere, they're going to be in the mercenary camp, right?
Yeah, you think so? So it might be worth having a wander down there if it's not far away.
We don't have enough time for the funeral, I don't think.
No, that's what I'm thinking. It's 2 miles away and 2 miles back, and then Yeah, it's probably 2 hours done, isn't it?
I mean, Nordan, what are your thoughts? I saw you look more hesitant than anybody else.
Northern will be. It'll be more. Let's complete a funeral and have a conversation about it afterwards. It may just have simply slipped the gentleman's mind. Cudgel might not be saying as much as she should be. Who knows what's about? I don't know. You know, I think he's trying to be respectful of your order, and who this lady represents to your order. He doesn't want to be sort of saying she's a liar, she's not telling us the full truth. So he's just sort of keeping his own counsel. That's the word I was looking for.
Mind your necking, Cal.
No, it's not meant that way. Just sort of.
That's it.
He's being respectful of you guys being Solamnic Knights as well as. Let's just see what comes of it. Well,
yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. It's not that we can't trust them; it's that we need to make sure we can before we.
Yeah, it's probably more of that for him.
That's a nice way to put it, Tom.
Yeah.
And Cal is trying to be diplomatic, right? Because he knows, again, much like Nordan, he's trying to be respectful of the fact that this is a Knight of the Rose, and he knows what that means. But he's seen another side to that as well. So,
no, I'm happy to go with that. Well, yeah, plan. So, as of now, let's. What else? What else is there to do? Well, I don't know if we've got anything else. Shall we just clear ourselves up and go down the? I don't suppose. Are we taking our weapons?
Cal won't be anyway.
I don't think I'd take mine either.
Nordan's a walking weapon.
You know what? I'll take a hand axe with me, just in case of madness.
Well, in terms of, I mean, and I'm going to stick my oar in ever so slightly here. You wouldn't be, it wouldn't be seen as untoward. You're living in the Dark Ages in Korean. There's ceremonial dress and lots of other pieces. Your blades, if it makes you feel better, aren't going to make you look out of place.
Well, if that's the case, then that's sorted.
So I think Kel tries not to carry, because it's a great sword, right? So it's a big lump of steel. So he tries not to carry it around because obviously it's very noticeable. But he probably would keep his, if he doesn't have a knife, but he'd probably keep his hand axe at his belt.
Okay. Right.
So probably wouldn't carry his sword.
Did we take both the long swords off?
Yes, we did, yeah.
What did we do with the second one? I know I took one. What did we do with the other one?
We
hadn't decided.
We haven't decided. So,
is it all right if Nordan has it for now and he spends a bit of time cleaning it up and making it all
he
look
can
nice
have
and
it for
clean?
he can have it for good.
It's not. It's yeah.
It's not.
I'm just in a flavour thing.
Yeah. Plus, if you do actually end up in combat, you can use it in two hands.
I've got one equipped, but I'm on about the second one. If no one's that interested in selling it or anything, you just seem to start cleaning it up because he's. Well, it'll come out in a minute, but yeah.
Go for it. You can have it. You can have it for all. I have one already.
So should we go to the funeral then?
Yeah, just as a quick one, would there have been somewhere that Cal could have stopped off and get some nicer clothes than he's in? Because he's only got his traveling gear on him.
Yeah, sure. So the market is just down from the Brass Crab. I mean, this time of day, you'd have to sort of get there pretty quick.
It'd literally just be the first thing that looks clean, basically. Just want something that's clean and not road worn. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, there's should we have a haberdashery?
Haberdashery.
There's a haberdashery, mostly a functional clothes for fishermen. So lots of wax sealed cloaks and things of that nature. But there's a decent set of clothes that for your stature would be let's say 5 silver for a half decent set of clothes, something that looks decent.
That he spent an inordinate amount of time measuring the inside of his leg.
Oh, oh,
My mother-in-law.
suits you, sir. What was my favourite? I do have a favourite one. Oh, glancing behind you like a frightened deer, sir. Oh,
I used to love that. And
that show was funny.
How could it be funny though? It was, but it was basically all that changed. It was this. Everyone knew the punchline of every gag, and that was kind of the point. But why was it funny? But it was.
Right, I'm gonna have to tell you. I'm gonna have to tell you my favourite all-time fast show sketch was can you remember Unlucky Alf?
Yeah. Oh, bugger.
Oh, bugger. So it used to trip over, fall over, and his punch, he'd end up in a ditch, and his catchphrase was, "Oh, bugger." And this sketch, it was just him in his front room with a parrot, and he turns to the camera and says, "I bought myself a carrot. I bought myself a parrot, knowing my luck it won't say out." And he turns to this parrot, and the parrot starts saying, "Twat, twat." and he keeps looking back to the camera to say his catchphrase, and he gets as far as "Oh, twat," and his shoulders drop. Oh, and eventually he gets "Oh, bugger," and then this parrot goes "Wanker, wanker." It's comedy gold if you ever get really bored.
Absolutely love the fast show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, where were we? So a decent set of clothes, 5 silver. But everything's closing down. Bizarrely, while you're in the market, you do actually see there's one of the stalls is run by a Kender, who seems to be an old Kender, quite wizened, seems to be selling intricate fish bone puppets. And everyone's everyone as they're walking past it, right, Frostwin, just accepting of this little Kender fella. This little Kender fella, as everyone passes by, every now and again reaches into a pouch and takes something. No one cares. No one cares. Just totally accepting of everything.
Sorry, I've got to. It's just reminding me of something so crazy. There's a place in Oregon, in America, that's Walmart have said we're not going to be here anymore, and it's because it's okay to shoplift as long as you don't take over $900 worth. So people just go in, fill their trolley, and fuck off.
Wow.
And surprisingly, right, they started making losses. Down. Yeah, unless you shoplift over, and it's a lot. Then they can't prosecute you. And you just saw the security guard just stood there while people are just blatantly dealing with him. It's like the world's gone fucking
That can't be
bananas.
true.
No, it was something to do with not criminalising rioters or looters in a riot, and they passed some sort of result. Yeah, but apparently it's a thing.
Wow.
Makes the world look sensible where we are.
Strange world we live in. So we'll leap to the funeral, lad, shall we?
Yeah.
Building up to it. So let me give you this picture because it's a nice picture from the campaign. So those who are closest to Ispin Greenshield gather on the docks overlooking the Vingard River. There, Ispin's body rests in a small boat, his body wrapped in a shroud. A musician plays a soft song as the knight, Becklin of the Harin, steps forward in her ornate Solamnic armour. She smiles gently at those assembled, and her voice carries clearly across the water. We all knew Ispin as a friend, and there were none like him. Before he died, he told me this. There should be tales, not tears, for an old scoundrel like me. Make sure everyone knows my story when I head off to the greatest adventure of them all. Becklin nods, and villagers carry the boat containing Ispin's body to the dock's edge, where she and Cudgel lower it into the water. So let us do just that, Becklin continues as the tiny vessel drifts out into the Vingard River. On the eve of the Kingfisher Festival, we celebrate you, Ispin. Good travels, friend. Until we meet again. And there's
Is his shield with him?
No.
No.
Well, as they would have been taking him to the river's edge, Nordan would have stepped forward with the longsword that he was cleaning, and he'd
Yeah.
have placed it into the boat.
Yeah.
And he just said, "Keep on adventuring, my old friend,
Yeah.
and let it go."
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll change the narrative ever so slightly then. So as both Becklin and Cudgel are stood there holding this boat, and you can tell there's some strain, but they both do it stoically and there's a long line of mourners. Everyone in the village seems to have turned out, and everyone wants to pay their respects. And a couple of the villages, sort of, you can see them saying to Becklin and Cudgel, "Let me take that," and they're just stood there saying, "No, you're fine." And they're, just watching vigil as people come and go, and there's flowers and gifts and trinkets and everything imaginable. I mean, you knew Ispin. Ispin was just about the nicest dude that you could meet. He was forgiving, he was kind, he was honest, he was everything that Kryn isn't in this day and age.
Yeah.
And this is the way his two friends have got of honouring him. This is the only picture of Cudgel that you get in the campaign, by the way, which is why I didn't show it you before. But it's that's what Cudgel looks like. So after a moment's peace, even as you've all gone past and Nordan's done his bit, and you've all said your bits, Becklin and Cudgel nod between the two of them, and they gently lower Ispin down, and the boat floats away on the Vingard River. And there's a good, easily a minute silence, and it's not an uncomfortable minute. Everyone's just saying their final goodbyes to a thoroughly decent chap. The silence is eventually broken by Cudgel looking up to Becklin as she claps her hands together and she says, "Right then, I believe Ispin said something about drink." And she motions everyone inside, which is where woo, which is where so back to the brass crab where everything's laid out for you. You see Roland there with he's set up the mead, and Anne's there dancing with the other Kender, and they're having a little bit of a jig. The musicians are playing in the background. It's happy. And then the stories start as everyone gets into their cups. Does anyone have a story about Ispin? I know I asked you all to invent a little story. Do you wish to commit to it?
Yeah.
I've got something. It might not be long, but I've got something.
Well, go on then, Mark. You do yours first.
Okay. Says most of you here will not know this, but my company here will. I'm sure remember when it was the same night, if you remember, lads, when the Kender threw himself down the stairs just to prove that he wasn't stupid, which I don't know how he achieved anything there. And there was a game of darts involving Ispin, and he wasn't very good at darts, was he? One seemed to ricochet out and stick right in the back of my head, and I had to get I can't remember which one of you it was to come and get it out. It was
Nordan with his hand up.
really, really funny for everybody except for me. But I mean, I didn't cry about it. Ispin thought it was the greatest thing of all time. Fair enough.
When Arthas says that, Nordan will shout out something about you can't damage it if it's empty.
Yeah. I seem to recall something of that ilk. Yeah, absolutely.
Go on then,
Right,
tell me if you got one.
Yeah, so I think it's, the day I met Ispin was also the day that I met my friend here, Leggit, who, as you all may be aware of his kind, are a little sticky-fingered. He took something of mine, but he was a bit too quick for me to catch. And I chased him, must have been halfway across Calaman, to retrieve, I don't even remember what it was now. Do you, Leggit? Kind of looking over at you. But Ispin stopped me quite, well, I say stopped me, he put me on my arse. And calmed me down. talk some sense into me. He was a good man, and he'll be missed. He's going to raise his tankard. Big drink.
Nice. Has Leggit got a story?
So yeah. So Leggit, he first met Ispin in the Red Dragon Inn in Tarsus. Normal evening for him. He's getting drunk, scheming up some half-assed plan to get rich quick, and then pick a fight with the biggest dude in the pub, which was his normal routine. This night, however, he's got a little bit too drunk, and then tried to pickpocket a rather large chap in the pub. Got caught because of his drunken clumsiness, and then been forcefully ejected out the end window into the neighbouring stables, into a waist. Well, he's been injected waist deep into a pile of horse shit, basically. So Leggit is flailing about. His legs, you can only just see his legs, just kicking about, trying to get out of this horse shit. When he's had two quite large hands grab him by the ankles and eject him out. And this was Ispin. And he looks me up and down with a big grin on his face. I brushed myself off, I've gone back inside. He's calmed things down between me and the other chap that I put pocket. And then me and Ispin have shared a pint of mead, or many pints of mead, and chatted and drank along into the night. And yeah, regaled about his tales with Beckling and Cudgel.
So there's a call after all each of your stories. There's a call to Ispin. To Ispin. Everyone takes a dram, and then Nordan.
What can one say about my friend Ispin? Ispin the impeccable. Ispin the inexhaustible. Ispin the intellectual. What can one say? Well, clearly I can say a lot. And I like to use a lot of different words to say it. And that brings me to the night I met Ispin the infallible. As you can tell, I play a game with people's names. And one day I was playing this game with Ispin and picked the wrong person to give a name. As you can imagine, Ispin held the line for me, and he sort of indicates he's not a very big bloke, he's very thin because he's not very strong. And afterwards he says to me, Nordan, you're a rascal. It's a shame you're not a half-elf because you'd be half good then.
Ispin, everyone says, and then there's a Becklin takes up the story then, and she'll say it's interesting you mention names. Ispin, one of Ispin's favourite stories was how he wasn't always known as Greenshield. In the village where he grew up in the Tamambusuk area, it was very rural. He describes the locals there as mostly Neanderthals and idiots. But this was a village that was beset by goblins and bugbears and hobgoblins, and the raids happened all the time. On one particular raid, Ispin tells that he single-handedly slew 10 goblins. It was witnessed by the whole village, and he and yet the village, they didn't call him Ispin Goblin Slayer, much to his disappointment. On that very raid, the mayor's daughter was kidnapped, a chaste woman of 16 years, and Ispin tracked them down before she could be defiled by the goblins and returned her to the mayor.
What's chasing her?
Did the villagers call him Ispin, protector of maiden's virtue? No, they did not. Ispin then decided the next day to build a wall around the village, a strong, stout wall that stopped the attacks. Did the villagers call him Ispin Wall Builder? No, they did not. But you
Jack
fuck
one
one
sheep.
goat. And at the punchline, the whole room says the punchline at the same time, including you four. But you fuck one sheep. And there's everyone.
The joke I tell.
Everyone's sort of laughing, but in the background, you can hear. Oh, I thought we'd heard the last of that particular joke, but here we are. He's dead, and we're still having to listen to it. And you can see, huddled in the corner, is this well-dressed, smart chap who's clearly very, very drunk, and he seems to be wanting to cause trouble. What do you want to do?
Shut it, posh boy. No one asked for your opinion.
Yeah, I was asking. I think that.
Yeah.
Is the Kender taunt still a thing, Dave?
But Kender
Yeah.
thought-
There's some fun to be had with that.
Well, yeah, I mean, Leggit being the brave little chap and kind of remembering his story, he's ready to sort of pick a fight with this chap. You know, he's had a few to drink.
I'll just stand next to him.
Yeah, Cal's not
Whilst-
stood up, but he's staring at him now.
I'm stood next to the Kender, and I'm basically kissing. Just go for it, mate. Let rip. Let him have it.
So this,
Whereas Nordan, the instigator, isn't even looking at him. He's just sat there looking forward at whoever is telling the story, and he's just literally leant back and going, "Shut it, posh boy. No one cares about your opinion." Like, the boys will have this.
so I tell you what, because the rest of you is mostly sort of positional, you know, how you're appearing, whereas Nordan's actually said something. So we need a sort of a charisma roll from Nordan then, just to see. It doesn't really matter. You can sort of take your pick whether you want persuasion or intimidation, depending on how you wanted to.
I'm gonna go because obviously he's generally quite happy-go-lucky with it.
Yeah.
And it's jest and not intimidation.
You pussycat.
22.
So he seems totally flummoxed by this, and he was halfway through sipping the rest of his pint, and he sort of gags on it, and he looks round as if he's going to stand his ground and berate you, and he sees Nordan, and then he sees the rest of you stood around him, and then he sees Becklin, and he sort of, well, his jokes weren't very good anyway. We'd all heard them before. And he sort of huddles back to his table of lickspittles.
Yeah.
And you can tell he's trying to make himself as small as humanly possible. Becklin will sort of say to you that Becklin will sort of say, "All right, chaps, don't cause trouble. Ispin wouldn't have wanted this. That's Bakaris the Younger. He's a nobleman, Lord Bakaris' son. They arrived 2 seasons back. We don't know why. They bought the manor house, and they've just stay clear. Stay clear of them."
Yes.
You know, if this story continues, I think I'm gonna have to do a bard dip. The way I'm playing Nordan, I feel like I need a bard dip in there somewhere.
That's easily doable, mate.
Yeah.
You're a charisma character, aren't you?
Yeah.
So there are a few other people.
I'm going to discommode the tomato sausage. I shall be back very shortly.
That wasn't even
did
an
he say?
animal.
Commode the
What?
tomato
Oh,
sausage.
commode the tomato sausage.
It wasn't. It was discommode. The tomato sausage.
Discommode. Sorry.
Yeah.
Dave, I'm
there
so glad you made me tell my story last because I was googling eye adjectives. You're gonna get used. This is going to be a thing, I think, for Nordan. It's a character choice. I've got a list for each of you now.
What was I watching? I was watching Parks and Recreation, And it was the episode where Ron Swanson goes to the Lagavulin distillery, and he's sat around with these old Irish boys, and I mean, you can tell it's very awkward. But he tells this joke, and that was the goat fucker joke that I thought, yeah, I'm having that for Ispin's funeral.
If it's coming out of Ron Swanson.
Yeah. The man, the legend.
Parks and Rec.
So, of note, there are a few other dignitaries around. Leggit would notice and recognise one of the people there. And this is a woman that you and Ispin, just you and Ispin, have had adventures with. So this is Captain Elena Sartell. And you would remember from your days in Tarsis, she hired you and Ispin. She was struggling to get a map. And she hired you and Ispin to acquire a map from a pack of were-rats that had secreted themselves into what appeared to be a disused library underneath Tarsis. And it went... Elena came with you. The three of you invaded this stronghold of were-rats. You managed to find the map and rescue it. And on your way out, Ispin thought it would be a good idea to knock one of the supports down because you were discovered and you were running for your lives. The support that you knocked down was going to bring the building down, so you went away from running away from the were-rats to eventually actually having to rescue them, so you didn't bury them. But Elena notices you same time as you notice her, and she sort of across the room gives you a little signal, and she walks over to Leggit, and she'll say, I'd like to say Elena's got a bit of a Geordie accent, but I'm going to give it. I can only do Geordie accents if I'm really high pitched. So she'll walk over to you and she'll say, "Why are you there, Leggit, man?"
Why is Jimbo suddenly in this game?
No, that's the only time. It's the only way I can do Geordie is if I do it like Donald and Davy Stott from Vic and Bob. Do you remember us?
I can't take it seriously, man. So Leggit is going to be he's in a bit of a drunken stupor, but he's very, very merry. And he recognises Elena too. He's going to climb up onto a chair, jump up onto a table to meet her at high line, and then he's going to do a very theatrical bow to her. It's like, "My lady, did you make good use of the map?"
I did. Now then, can you remember much about anything else about your time before Tarsis?
Underpants.
Can I remember anything else before my time before Tarsis?
Yes, pet.
Stop it.
I think you've broken him.
Yeah. I remember from what I can remember, I remember very, very little. I remember wide open spaces. I remember swirling purple colours. It was purple colours. But yes, my lady, I remember very little. Why? Do you have news from once I came?
No, I just wondered if you'd remembered anything else. My wee pet, a good. I'm gonna have to do it like this, otherwise I can't do Geordie. It's a good thump on the noggin will soon take the memories away. It's a shame it happened like that. Anyway, it's nice to see you. She starts to walk away.
Now, thank she's gone.
She's
so of note in the room, there's a little gnome woman, who's Than, and the gnomes speak very quickly. The way it's written in the novels, it's
there's no spaces.
There's no spaces whatsoever. So and this woman's name, Becklin will introduce you to, and she'll say, "Gentlemen, I want to introduce you to Than." And you can see that Becklin is herself slowing her speech down. Than, these gentlemen are friends of Ispin. And Than will start straight away in this sort of high pitch, not Geordie. Say, oh, it's so nice to meet you. Than, slow, remember. Oh, yes. And Than will tell you about the catapult on top of the castle. So she calls it the Gnome Flinger. And the design of which is in Mount... Oh, I've forgotten what it's called. Is it Mount Nevermore? Nevermind. Mount Nevermind.
Nevermore. No, yeah, you're right. It is Nevermind.
Nevermind. They use these catapults as transportation devices, and that she's rebuilt this on top of the castle, and she's looking for volunteers. And as she mentions volunteers, Beckley says, "Oh, okay, thank you, Than, thank you. Yeah, no, the gentlemen have got plenty of other people to meet."
My friend Nordan.
I think at that, Nordan's ears would prick up and be like, "Wait, you built a catapult to throw people?" Like, he's obviously drunk.
Becklin's seriously stepping in front now. Becklin's and she'll sort of look, Squire Scalebane. No, it's time to lead your companions away from the mental gnome lady.
No. She seems really interested. I want to know more.
It's okay,
I would
Nordan,
volunteer for such a
it's
task.
okay. Yeah, I've already volunteered you, mate. Come on. He's gonna put his
I
arm
want to
around
go flying. I haven't. Come on.
Yeah, he's like kind of pulling him away.
Yeah.
I don't know if Arthas is the other side as well.
I could fly
Yeah, I'll
like
get
a
the other side
bird.
now.
I
We
could
don't
be the
like-
first elf that flies.
It's all right. He'll be gone in the morning. We'll take care of him. Don't worry.
Let me
Throw
I'll
him
give
over
you.
your shoulder. Watch me fly.
I'm gonna make it worse. Then I'll give you the campaign picture of this. I wasn't going to give you this, but it's a.
Oh God, yes. No, I'm being
So-
serious now. I would so. I have Featherfall. It'll be fine.
If you've got Featherfall, then you can't fail really.
Do you?
Yeah.
unless you're drunk and get the somatic component wrong.
When you're sobered up.
Yeah.
Let's have a group perception check. Well, not a group perception check. I'm going to ask for a perception check, just a flat one, so you notice it.
I've just rolled persuasion instead of perception.
Okay.
Well, I'm clearly too drunk to care.
It's the same pluses though, so it works out.
So 40. So it's Kelevendros that notices. So while you're trying to drag Nordan away from catapult death, as he's sort of over your shoulder and you're walking towards the back of the room, you notice someone that doesn't appear to fit in this environment, and you can see right in the corner, stood by herself, dressed in pure white with a white veil, and with sort of heraldry on her, a Sylvanesty elf, a very tall, regal-looking woman, and underneath this veil, you can see that she is very, very pale, almost blue complexion from underneath this veil. I mean, obviously, you know, Ispin's told you about lots and lots of people, but he's never mentioned knowing what looks like a noble Sylvanesty woman. What does Kelevendros want to do?
So I think Cal has been. Cal's been drinking, but he hasn't been drinking as heavily as the others. He has a history of becoming more aggressive when he drinks, so he tends to bring it in a little bit in company. So I think he's relatively sober So he's going to just kind of look over to Arthur and say, "Have you got him?"
Yeah. We've done it before.
I think nearly all my characters when I play them, when they've been drinking, they're all just nuisances. Aren't they, Dave? I'm just thinking Lauren was a bit of a pain in the arse when he'd been drinking as well.
Well, they're not Therin annoyances, which is another story.
That's true. That's true.
you don't go stabbing hag-eyes unnecessarily.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was you that stabbed the Haggai.
No, it was Lewis that stabbed the hag-eye.
Yeah. It didn't go well, did it?
It didn't. Well, I mean, the
can
hags
imagine
didn't
that.
enjoy it. Let's say that. Anyway, okay,
And then he'll
yeah,
make his way over. He'll make his
Okay.
way over.
sure. So as you walk over, you can see that she spots you, and she's just staring as you get closer. She keeps her eye on you.
So as he approaches, he'll bow quite deeply. And how did you know Ispin Greenshield, my lady?
She'll sort of say, and it's a very lyrical tone to her. I always like to think of elves speaking with a Welsh accent, very
Yeah, I've always
musical.
thought that. I don't know why I've always thought that as well.
Do
But
you
without
want me to
without
try
the general
Welsh?
confusedness that generally Welsh, I love blinking, I do.
You have to find a phrase, don't you?
Yeah.
Mine's always the movie, The Englishman that went up a hill and came down a mountain.
If you want to get into Geordie, the phrase is "poopa scoopa,"
Yeah.
Poopa scoopa pet.
and apparently Scouse is, "I'll have some chicken and a can of coke."
Yeah.
I'm not gonna make my elf Scouse.
It was Jimmy Carr, yeah. I got that. Saw that on. It was on QI, I think. It's definitely Jimmy Carr.
What's the actor that he had doing it that cannot speak and only put his own accent? Oh, what's his name? Played Zorro.
Yeah.
Oh, Antonio Banderas.
Antonio
That's the
Banderas.
one. He's trying to get Antonio Banderas to it. And you're like, no, mate. You stuck with the accent you were born with, I'm afraid.
His wife manages it quite well.
Yeah.
I think it's his wife, but
That sounds like a Graham Norton thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always enjoy the Vic and Bob thing where it's impossible to say the two words beer and can together without sounding Jamaican.
Yeah. Beer can.
Beer can. Anyway, where were we? So she'll say, I in a Welsh Elvish accent.
yeah.
I didn't know Ispin too well. He travelled to our lands, and I've been sent here to honour him. Tell me, how did you know him?
Oh, we travelled together for a number of years. Myself, and he kind of nods over to the gaggle of his friends. Myself and my companions, we travelled together for many years. Good man.
I didn't know him too well, but I know what he stood for, and it was a good and honourable. He was a good and honourable man.
That it was.
It was a pleasure to meet you. She sort of turns away.
And you. Yeah. And he kind of gives her another bow. And he gets the feeling that she's quite important, so he's even more respectful than he usually is.
Yeah, a whole bearing everything about this woman is. I mean, you've met elves before. You've met, well, Nordan's the exception to the rule, really. Mostly, elves are quite austere, especially Sylvanesti elves. If you think of snooty high elves, that's the general outworld impression of Sylvanesti elf. The fact that she's engaged with you a little bit surprises you.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, yes,
Is
this is
Cal half Elven? Or is
He
it
is,
Arthas? Yeah.
And he has got, so since you've been back together, his hair has been down, but for the funeral, he's tied his hair back up. So his ears are on display, if you will. He seems to be more comfortable in the environment. So
He's out for the lads.
So The rest of the night progresses. You can still see Bakaris the Younger, this young fop. He's sort of every now and again you hear sort of what coming from the corner with his lick spittles. But every time he does now, because he's very very drunk, he'll sort of forget for a minute that you guys are there, and he'll do this laugh and this grand gestures, and then he'll think, oh shit, no, they're still here. And he tries to make himself small again. To which Becklin is loving this. So, anything else you guys wanted to do now that that everyone's mingling?
I think
it's
hard because.
Sorry,
go on, Mark.
I was going to say I'm just going to sit there quietly nursing a drink, bit melancholy,
Right.
thinking never seen a friend.
Nordan's probably just all over the place, just chatting to people that they're his new best mate, but probably gives the elf a wide berth. He probably has enough sense about him to know that he is not acting appropriately to be then approaching her. Because I assume once he becomes aware of her, he would notice that she's nobility and etc. And he'd be like, "Oh, I shouldn't be going over there. I'm too drunk for this."
Sure.
Everyone else, he's probably every now and then like trying to look for the gnome. Like, you probably see him like see her and start running and.
Yeah. Well, you can meet up with the gnome again, and she'll tell you all about the gnome flinger. But I mean, she speaks that quickly; you only catch half of it. But yeah, she sort of engages you in conversation. That keeps Nordan happy. So Arthas is sat there nursing a drink, remembering old times. So, is Leggit doing anything?
Leggit's just on the table. He's really drunk. His dancing is aggressively gyrating his head, knocking people's drinks over.
Oh, that's an amusing image.
Roll performance for me then, Andy.
Yes.
I'm tempted for a disadvantage, but I'm not.
I was going to solidify some mushroom juice on top of that.
Oh,
Look at that!
Right, you're that good. There's just happens to be an empty cup near to you, and you get 5 silver in tips just for your gyrating. So, and what's Kel doing to pass the time?
Probably bouncing between Leggit and Nordan, trying to keep them out of any kind of real trouble. So they're being a nuisance, but he's making sure they don't go anywhere beyond that. So he's playing Mother Hen.
Nice.
Which is possibly a historic role for him.
Your sort of designated driver.
Yeah.
The way I'm sort of trying to do Nolorin is he hears that person in the group when he starts talking to an absolute random person. You think, oh, for God's sakes, will he just shut up? Like, it is just that. So like when he's talking to them, she's talking really fast. He's talking really fast at her, and he's just like, oh, for God's sakes.
You did say Nolorin again then as well.
Nordan. They're too similar. I should have picked a different name.
So eventually, the night passes. Cudgel's sort of sat in the corner with Becklin, and they're sort of reminiscing. They've both got a bit of a rosy glow about their cheeks. They actually seem to be together in the corner, which is quite sweet, really. The two of them there. And everything sort of starts winding down. People start leaving, and Becklin gets up and she sort of pats Cudgel fondly on the thigh as she walks over to you, and she'll say, so her and Cudgel will walk over to you, and she'll say, I do have one other favour to ask of you, gentlemen, tomorrow morning. If you could visit me in my tower before the reenactment, or before the Kingfisher Festival. So it'll be the Kingfisher Festival, then the reenactment. But if you, when you're up and about, if you come and meet me, I've got something that I want to discuss with you.
Interestingly, Dragonlance had asked us if we'd be taking part in the reenactment. Is that an option?
Absolutely, yes. It would. It very much so. If she sort of glances around, and she'll sort of say to Cudgel. I mean, Cudgel. The way she mentions this to you, she's obviously told Cudgel what's happened, the things
Yeah.
that you've told her. Well, that's the point, actually. Yeah. Okay. So let's do it all in one. We've only got a few minutes left. We're going to finish in a minute. So she'll say, "Yeah, no, I want to. I do want you to take part. I want you to be an example, because I want to train some of the militia, and also Cudgel has news about Dragonlance and Jayez. They have arrived in camp, and they have corroborated your story. It's late now. We're not going to get anything done. We'll do it all tomorrow morning. First light, my tower."
Superb. We know what we're doing next time.
Yeah. So she wanders off, Cudgel wanders off, and that's where we'll leave the session until next time. Then.